Vakratunda Mahakaya Suryakoti Shamaprabha Nirvignam Gurume Deva Sharvakayeshu Sharvada Saraswate Namastubhyam Aradhe Kamarupini Vidyarambam Karishyami Siddhi Bhavatu Mi Shadha Suklam Bharadaram Sashivaranam Chaturbhujam Prasanna Vadanam Jayet Sarva Vigno Pashantaye. Salutation to Lord Hanuman, who is present wherever, whenever the names of Lord Rama is being chanted, or wherever or whenever Ramayana is being read. Yatra yatra Raghunama Kirtanam, Tatra Tatra Krishnamasta Kanchalim, Bashpavari Paripurna Lochanam, Marutihim Namatta Raksha Shantakam. Pujantam Ramarameti Madhuram Madhuraksharam Ahruhya Kavita Shakam Vande Valmiki Kokilam. We are in the 27th session of Srimad Valmiki Ramayanam, and yes, we are starting 5 minutes late. I think we started 5 minutes late. Okay, today. So before we go into the 27th session, it is always important for us to look at the Purva Charitra, what we have covered in the 26th session of Valmiki Ramayanam, Yuddha Kandam. So in the 26th session, we have looked at chapters 38 to chapter 50. Total of 12 chapters we have covered in our last session, that is session 26. So if you are able to recall what we have covered, if you are able to remember that Rama able to build a bridge to Lanka. Okay, in the session 25th session, we learn about building of the bridge to Lanka, how the Vanaras build the bridge to Lanka using the continuous improvement principle. Every day they improve, day by day they increase the yojanas until they have completed 100 yojanas. Okay, the construction was built, construction of the bridge was under the leadership of Nala. Nala is an amsha of Vishwakarma, okay, the architect of gods. So upon completion of the bridge, they moved towards Lanka. Rama decided to stay at Suela mountain. And from Suela mountain, they surveyed the Lanka, the beautiful Lanka. Lanka is beautiful. In Sundarakanda itself, it is mentioned beautiful itself. Beautiful it is, the Lanka. Even Hanuman looked at Lanka as a very beautiful city. And then when Rama, Sugriva, Lakshmana, Jambavan, all the Vanaras, including Vibhishana, was there looking at the Lanka, looking at Swaya mountain. Sugriva was able to spot Ravana there. And then immediately, without consulting anyone, without saying a word, he flew towards Ravana and he had a fight with Ravana. He wrestled with Ravana and then he came back. But Rama was not very happy with what Sugriva did. So one of the lessons, one of the things that Rama mentioned to Sugriva is that a king should not make any risky decision without prior consultation. Okay, so it's very important because a king or the leader, if the leader has been caught, what is going to happen to the morale of the Vanaras? So Rama said that you as a leader or Sugriva, you should not have made such a decision. So Rama was not very happy. Although Sugriva was impatient, he wanted to fight with Ravana immediately. Okay, and then chapter 41, we learn about the messenger that will be sent by Rama. Rama sent what he called Angada to Ravana to what he called pass his message to Ravana. Okay, Angada warned Ravana, pass whatever the message that Rama has communicated to Angada to Ravana. And of course, if you learn from other of Ramayana, we find that when Ravana wanted to attack Angada, Angada planted his foot in the court of Ravana, and none of the warriors, including Indrajit, was able to lift the foot of Angada. Okay, so but Valmiki Ramayana, this is not reported. We learned that in our previous session. Okay, and then Ravana commands his army to commence the combat. And then chapter 43 is a chapter where the war between the Vanaras and the Rakshasas, monkeys and the demon, commenced. Start of the war. And after that, we find Indrajit, okay, leading the army of the Rakshasas. He came. Indrajit is someone who knows the magical ways of doing war. He can remain invisible. He has a bow. Okay, we will come into Indrajit episode later. Okay, Indrajit episode later after Kumbh is name, Indrajit will come again to the battlefield. So Indrajit, when he moved into the battle, he used Nagastra to on the Nagastra to bind what I call Rama and Lakshmana. And he thought Rama and Lakshmana has been dead. So he went and reported to his father, and his father was very happy. Ravana wanted to do a big celebration in Lanka. And then he requested Sita to be sent to see that Rama. But of course, we learned that Trijita, the son of the daughter of Vibhishana, Trijita reassured Sita. Okay, earlier incident, Sarama reassured Sita. Now Trijita reassured Sita that nothing is the Rama and Lakshmana. Look at their face, look at their facial features. They are not dead. They are just unconscious. Okay, and then what happened? We find that the Sugriva tells Susena to take Rama and Lakshmana to Kishkinda to give medication to them. And then he said he's going to go and fight with Ravana. And then Susena will tell about a story about the ancient story when the Devas and Asuras were at war. And then the herb from Himalayas was used to give the life back to those who have been. So he commanded, he requested Sugriva to command the Vanaras, Hanuman and other Vanaras to go and fetch the herb. And at that particular period of time, what happened? Garuda, the Pakshi Raja, the king of birds, appeared. And when Garuda appeared, all the serpents that was bind, that bound Rama and Lakshmana disappeared. They left because they were scared of Garuda. Garuda is a sworn enemy of the serpents. So we start from chapter 50, what we have covered in chapter 50 during the previous session, before we go into chapter 51, because there is a direct link between chapter 50 and chapter 51. So Sugriva consoled and said to Susena, Susena is a father of Tara. Okay, as soon as Lakshmana regains consciousness, take them back to Kishkinda. I shall destroy the demons, recover Sita and bring her to Kishkinda. Susena replied, I remember the battle that took place in days of yours between the Suras and Asuras, gods and the demons, in which the god had similarly been assailed by invisible demons. And Brihashpati is the what they call Guru of the Devas. Is called Sukracharya. You have Sukracharya, you have Brihashpati. Okay, you also have a work done by Sukracharya that is called Sukranidhi. Sukracharya, you can do some search on Sukranidhi. Sukracharya is the preceptor of the what they call the demons. Okay, and if you study Purana, you know Sukracharya, Brihashpati. Okay, Brihashpati, there are more regarding Brihashpati and also Sukracharya when you study like Bhagavata Purana, even in Mahabharata. Okay, so Brihashpati administered the what they call the herbs, and the gods were revived. And those remedies grow on Chandra and Drona mountain, he says. They are known as Sanjeeva. So commission the Hanuman and other Vanaras to fetch them at once. This is what that was said by Susena. Okay. Now, at that particular moment, what happened? Garuda came. Garuda came, and Garuda coming nearer and nearer, the serpents left Rama and Lakshmana. And when Garuda touched Rama and Lakshmana, with the touch of Garuda, the wounds were all healed and their body regained their golden hue. Their radiance, virility, strength, enthusiasm, vision, intelligence, also memory were doubled. And deeply grateful to him, Rama asked him, by your grace alone, sir, Garuda, we have been served, we have been saved. Please tell me who you are. And Garuda replied, friend, your very life as it were, though dwelling outside your body. I am Garuda. Luckily, I heard about your condition and I arrived here in time. The poison with which you have been stricken could not be anyone else. May victory attend you. Garuda departed. The Vanaras rejoiced to see Rama and Lakshmana fully recovered. So there's also a story about, in the beginning, Garuda was reluctant to come. There are many from, if you go into other regional versions, you find Hanuman also have gone to Garuda, requesting Garuda to come, please come. Garuda was reluctant. Garuda said he did not receive any instruction from his Lord to go. And finally, Garuda, and when he came, the serpents were all left Rama and Lakshmana. Garuda came because the Nagastra that was used to burn Rama and Lakshmana, that was released by Indrajit. The serpents are all sons of Kadru. Kadru is actually the what they call auntie, Garuda's auntie. See, because you have Kasyapa Muni had two wives. Kasyapa Muni had one is called Vinata, the other one is Kadru. Okay, from Vinata, Garuda was born. Elder to Garuda was Aruna. Aruna became the charioteer of the sun god. And from Kadru, all the snakes, all were born. There is a story between the betting between Kadru and Vinata, which resulted in Vinata being a slave of Kadru in the Mahabharata. In Adi Parva of Mahabharata, that particular story is narrated. Okay, how Vinata became a slave to Kadru and how Garuda went to Indra Aloka and got nectar to what they call release his mother from the slavery of Kadru. Okay, so and again I have also inserted this from Ramcharitmanas, where Garuda was in doubt. Why Narayana, the Lord, Rama, needed his help when he himself was capable of breaking out the attack of Nagabhasha. This is in Ramcharitmanas conversation between Kakabhushanti and Garuda. Kakabhushanti explains to Garuda that this was one of the leelas played by Rama. Like everything else in this universe created by the Lord Rama also created Maya or illusion, and Garuda's illusion of helping the Lord was also due to that Maya only. Maya means that which is not. That is what we call Maya. Okay. Now, for this session, 27th session, we are going to only 9 chapters, one of the shortest coverage. In average, most of the sessions that we have covered, we looked at around 14 to 15 chapters. In some sessions, maybe are close to 20 chapters. So this is one of the shortest session. this session will complete. We are going to look at from Dhumraksha entering the battlefield until Ravana appears, and he will lose the first round to Rama. Okay, Dhumraksha will enter the battlefield, and he will attack the Vanaras. And what will happen? With Dhumraksha, and Ravana will send Vajradamsa. Vajradamsa also will be attacking the what they call Vanaras, and then Angada will come and defeat Vajradamsa. Then Ravana will send another warrior called Akampana. There is also an Akampana in Aranyakanda who ran away when Rama killed 14,000 what we call Rakshasas. It was said Rama killed 13,999. That ran away was Akampana. Akampana ran and reported to Ravana. But that same Akampana is different because Valmiki gave a different description of Akampana here in this chapter 55. And Akampana enters the battlefield. Very powerful warrior. There was mentioned about Akampana. And Hanuman killed Akampana. Later, Ravana sent another warrior that is called Prahasta. Prahasta went into the battle. And of course, Vibhishana explained the power of Prahasta. And Prahasta will be killed by a commander-in-chief. That is Nila. Nila is a son of Agni. And finally, when Ravana sees all the warriors one by one, great warriors he sent to the battlefield, all were defeated by the Varana, what they call Varana army, he decided to appear himself in the battleground. So, okay, now from chapter 51, after the Rama and Lakshmana were released from the Nagastra, the Vanaras were celebrating. There was a huge celebration of the Vanaras. And what happened? Ravana asked, from where these noises are coming? All these noises are coming from where? He asked the demons to find out the cause from where. And the demons reported that Rama and Lakshmana are now well. And the Vanaras are celebrating their recovery from the Nagastra released by Indrajit. When he heard this, Ravana felt terribly dejected and remarked, if they could be revived after being subjected to the deadly attack by Indrajit, I am beginning to doubt the strength of my whole army to withstand them. Our missiles are as terrible as fire, and which have taken the lives of my enemies before and have been proved to be useless. Then Ravana turned to the terrible demon called Dhumraksha and ordered him. He is ordering Dhumraksha, another what they call member of his army, proceed at once to the battlefield and destroy all Vanaras. And he's praising Dhumraksha here. You are indeed most powerful and capable of achieving this. And Dhumraksha rushed towards the western gate guarded by Hanuman. Hanuman guarding the western gate, remember? And Rama was guarding the northern gate. As Dhumraksha flew towards the western gate, a terrible vulture landed on his aircraft. This is not a good sapuna. Based on what they call the Saguna Sastra, this is not good. You remember, right? In Ramayana, we learned Saguna Sastra, Nimitta Sastra, Sopana Sastra, all these are there. Okay? He saw many strange sights in the air. The entire nature, all the elements seems to forbade evil. The omens were not very good. But yet, Dhumraksha still proceeded towards the battlefield. So the battle that ensued between the Vanaras and the demons were indeed terrible. The Vanaras used all their missiles against the demons, used all their missiles, powerful missiles against the Vanaras. And Vanaras in turn hurled trees and rocks. And Vanaras crushed some of the demons and made them vomit blood. Even so, the Vanaras were suffering heavy casualties at the hands of the demons. Seeing the demons being harassed, Dhumraksha advanced towards Hanuman. And seeing the Vanaras forces in distress, Hanuman picked up a huge rock and came towards Dhumraksha. With that rock, Hanuman smashed the vehicle, the chariot of Dhumraksha. Hanuman assailed the demon forces too. Dhumraksha hit Hanuman with a spiked mace. Unmindful of that, Hanuman picked up a rock which looked like a mountain peak and hit the head of Dhumraksha with it. And Dhumraksha was slain. So Ravana sent Dhumraksha, and Dhumraksha was slain by Hanuman. And then the Vanara army returned to Lanka in distress. And distressed to hear that Dhumraksha has been slain by Hanuman, Ravana ordered another mighty demon called Vajradamstra to proceed to the front. And Vajradamstra was someone who's very good in magic, just like Indrajit. He marched surrounded by his commanders, followed by an army, huge army. They sought to fight the Vanaras outside the southern gate. Remember, southern gate is controlled by Angada. Angada is southern gate. Okay. Vajradamsa noticed all terrible omens again for him, just like Dhumraksha. He also noticed terrible omens. The Saguna Sastra, Nimitta Sastra, not favorable. Yet he proceeded. He moved towards the battlefield. The demons and Vanaras quickly fell upon one another. They began the most terrible fight. They fought with various weapons. They fought with their Vanaras fought with their bare hands and feet. When he saw that demons were ruthlessly killing Vanaras, Angada came to the rescue and killed the demons. When Vajradamsa saw the demons falling in greater number, what he did? Okay. What he did when the demons were falling in greater number, okay, he faced Angada. Okay, Angada and Vajradamsa faced each other in direct conflict. Vajradamsa directed thousands of shots at Angada, and Angada picked up a huge rock and threw at Vajradamsa's chariot vehicle. And the demon got just in our time, he got up of the chariot that was smashed to pieces. Angada threw another huge rock at the head of the demon, vomiting blood. Vajradamsa fell down and lay on the ground, hugging his mace, dazed. And the demon soon got up, dropped his mace, and began to wrestle with Angada. Both of them were equally powerful, of equal strength. At last, Angada drew the sword and chopped off the demon's head. The surviving demons fled to Lanka, and the Vanaras rejoiced. So, second warrior that was sent by Ravana after what they call Dhumraksha, Vajradamsa were defeated. Dhumraksha was defeated by Hanuman. Vajradamsa was defeated by Angada, son of Bali. And when Ravana heard that Vajradamsa was slain by Angada, he sent another warrior called Akampana. I mentioned to you there is an Akampana in Aranyakanda who ran from Janastana to Ravana to give him information about what happened in Janastana, where Rama killed what they call 14,000. Okay, as I said earlier, it can be 13,999. Akampana left. Okay, ran towards Ravana. So Akampana himself, okay, here Valmiki describes Akampana in a different perspective, like a great warrior. Okay, then started Akampana going towards the battlefield. Powerful like sun, Akampana could not be shaken in a fight even by Devas. Akampana goes with a huge army, ignoring whatever negative omens, bad omens that he sees. You need to note here, when Dhumraksha went to the battlefield, the Nimitta Shastra, Saguna Shastra was not very good. The omens were was not very good for him to go to the battle. Yet he went. He was slain. Second, Vajradamsa, also the same. He was also slain. Now we see Akampana going to the battlefield. Okay, and he sees bad omens. Okay, in the battle, there was a fierce fight between Vanaras and the demons, the Rakshasas. who prepared to throw away their life in cause of Rama and Lakshmana. Okay, Akampana ordered the driver of his chariot to where the worst fighting and where the demons are falling in great numbers. Soon Akampana was in the thick of the battle. Hanuman came to challenge Akampana, and this raised the morale of the Vanara forces. Whenever Hanuman's there, they will all will be very enthusiastic. They will show great enthusiasm and morale. Akampana turned in full force of his missile power on Hanuman. Hanuman rushed forward in great fury, but he had no weapon. He therefore picked up a huge rock, whirled it around, and threw it at Akampana. But Akampana broke it with his missile, even while it was in the air. Hanuman was angered to see this extraordinary exploit of the demon. So, what did Hanuman do? He uprooted a big tree known as Ashwakarna tree, and off, he ran in great fury. And Akampana was disturbed to see Hanuman rushing towards him with a big tree. So what did he do? He fired 14 shots at mighty Varana that he shot at Hanuman. But Hanuman did not even notice it. He shone like smokeless fire or like an Ashoka tree in full bloom. And reaching up to Akampana, Hanuman struck him with the tree, and the demon fell down. The demon warriors therefore dropped their arms and began to flee in direction of Lanka. All the demons running towards Lanka. The were overjoyed. They surrounded Hanuman and roared with joy. The gods, leaders like Sugriva and Vibhishana, even Rama and Lakshmana worshipped Hanuman. This is mentioned in chapter 56 of Yuddha where Hanuman will defeat Akampana. And then when the Rakshasas reported to Ravana have been slain by Akampana has been slain by Hanuman, it was a terrible blow to Ravana. He said to the commander-in-chief, Prahastra. Prahastra is a commander-in-chief for the demons, the Rakshasas. Whereas for the Vanaras, it's Nila. Nila, son of Agni. Okay? Many of our foremost commanders has been killed by gigantic Vanaras. Okay? Many have been killed by the gigantic Vanaras. I cannot think of whom to send next. The outcome of a battle is uncertain. Anyhow, please suggest to me what should be done. Whether the advice may be pleasant or unpleasant. The brave and loyal Prahasta replied, O king, we have indeed discussed this matter before, and we had actually foreseen that if the wise course, which was to restore Sita to Rama, was not adopted, war will be inevitable. Prahastra was one of the warrior from the Ravana side who have given this information, this advice to Ravana. And then he further says, I have enjoyed and your favors, and they have been constant. My loyalty to you will be constant. Neither son, wife, or wealth, nor even my life are worth preserving. I shall lay down my very life for your sake. Something that Prahasta is mentioning to Ravana about loyalty. He is loyal to Ravana. Even though he has some disagreement, but yet he is loyal to Ravana. So Prahasta mounted his chariots, which shone like the sun, which has been equipped with all sort of weapons, which could move at great speed, and which was provided with a bumper to avoid collusion. Surrounded by powerful general Prahasta, he looked like god of death. He looked like Yamaraja himself. And Rama ascertained from Vibhishana the identity of the warrior and his strength. And of course, Vibhishana given all the information related to Prahasta. Once again, the Vanaras and the demon fought a fierce battle. The commander of the demon forces wrought havoc among the Vanaras. But as soon as Divita killed Narantaka, a warrior, a demon called Narantaka was killed by Divita. And then Vanara, another Vanara that is called Durmukha, it's a name of a Vanara, not to be confused with the demon. Okay, earlier the demon was Dumraksha. Okay, now a Vanara called Durmukha killed a demon called Samundata. And then Jambavan killed a demon called Mahidata. And a Vanara Tara. There is, you see different Taras there. This is a Tara who is a warrior. Okay, who not the Tara. This is Tara killed. Enraged by this, Prahastra fought with incredible fierceness, and killed the Vanaras by thousands. So Prahastra in a battlefield, the entire battlefield resembled a dreadful river of death. Both warriors fought and unmindful of horror. Now, Nila, the commander-in-chief of the Vanaras. See, Nila is a commander-in-chief of the Vanaras. Prahasta is a commander-in-chief of the demons. Now, Nila rushed towards Prahasta, who showered innumerable missiles at Nila, unable to ward them off. Nila received them with closed eyes, calmly. And these missiles will not have much effect of Nila, because Nila is an Amsha of Agni himself. They fought fearlessly for a while. Prahastra used a mallet, Nila used rocks, while Prahastra rushed towards Nila, intent upon killing him. The latter picked up a and killed, he killed Prahastra. And the leaderless demons fled to Lanka. So Prahastra was killed by Nila. So if we are looking at from chapter 52 to chapter 58, from in chapter 52, okay, Ravana sent Dumraksha to the battlefield. And what happened to Dumraksha? Hanuman killed. Okay, before Dumraksha left, remember, he saw the omens which are not positive, not good, bad omens. Yet he went into the battlefield. Dumraksha was killed by Hanuman. And then Ravana's warrior called Vajradhamstra to the battlefield. And then Angada killed Vajradhamstra in the battle. And then next, Ravana sent Akampana to the battlefield. And Akampana was killed by Hanuman. Sent his commander-in-chief, Prahasta, to the battlefield. And Prahasta was killed by Nila. So one by one, the warriors that was sent by Ravana have been defeated by the Vanara forces, have been defeated with Hanuman, Angada, and then Jambavan, Nila. All of them have defeated the Vanaras, the demons. The Vanaras have defeated the demons. So Ravana's fury was explosive. He said to the surviving commanders, it's unwise to underestimate the enemy's strength. In the beginning, before Rama built the bridge, he was still underestimating the Vanara forces. Now, after having tasted the defeat of his great warriors, all the warriors that he has sent, all has been defeated. So he is now telling it is unwise to underestimate enemy's strength. Only a warrior of no mean valor would have survived a combat with Prahasta. Yet he has been killed. So Ravana is making a decision. I shall myself proceed to the battlefield. I shall bury up the Vanara army. I shall irrigate the earth with Vanara's blood. So saying, Ravana setting out to the battlefield. The lot of description will be given in chapter 59. Chapter 59 of Yuddha is quite long, up to 114 sloka. What I'm doing here is that I'm going to summarize some of the important points from chapter 59 of Yuddha. So, Ravana coming into the battlefield. Vibhishana briefed Rama of the new encounter, saying to Rama, behold, Ravana, who shines like sun, wearing the crown and earring, with huge body, terrible looking like Vidya mountain, who vanquished even king of heaven and god of death. Okay, he defeated Indra and also Yama. But actually, Indra in the beginning born Ravana, but he was saved by Indrajit because Indrajit able to not at that time he was not known as Indrajit yet. Meghanan, son of Ravana, defeated Indra. Because he defeated Indra, he is given the title of Indrajit, conqueror of Indra. Indrajit. Indrajit means one who have conquered Indra. His name given was Meghanan. Okay, and then god of death also Yama could have defeated Ravana, but because of the boon that Brahma have given to Ravana, Yama left the battlefield and Ravana claimed that he has defeated Yama. So Ravana looked at the enemy and could not but exclaim, what a radiance! It's difficult to even see him directly, even as to see the sun. He is surrounded by dreadfully powerful demons too. Yet I'm glad he himself comes to the battlefield today. I shall direct towards him the great anger that he has aroused in me by abducting Sita. Now, something to note here about Ravana. There will be details about Ravana that I will be sharing to you in the WhatsApp group. Okay, in the WhatsApp group, I'm going to share maybe later or maybe tomorrow. I can even do it later after the class on character analysis of Ravana. Total about close to 200 pages. The details will be there. Ravana is described somebody who is great but not good. Rama is great and good, but Ravana is great but not good. There is a greatness but without goodness is useless. So that's why we find here in Yuddha, we also find something similar in Sundarakandam. Sundarakandam also, Hanuman, the first time he looked at Ravana, he said, what a tejas, what a radiance, what a great personality. He, within his mind, Valmiki is reporting. You can find this in Sundarakandam. And then also in Yuddha, Rama himself, Ravana, what did presenting to you the sloka, translation of the sloka by Krishna Sarma, taken from Valmiki Ramayana, Yuddha chapter 59, verse 27, verse 28, 29, 30, and 31. So when Rama looked at Ravana, he said, what a brilliance and what immense power that does Ravana, the ruler of Rakshasa, possess. Ravana is difficult to behold like rays of blazing sun. His true form cannot be seen clearly, covered in dazzling radiance. This is coming from the mouth of Rama, reported by Valmiki. And then he further says, the body of no Deva, no or Danava Vira radiates with such brilliance as that of the Rakshasa king. And all the fighters whom he of extraordinary power commands are huge like mountains. Armed with shining weapons, they can subdue even mountains in fight. This is from Rama. Okay? The ruler of the Rakshasas, surrounded by warriors who are dazzling with intensity and who look fierce like huge bodies like Yama himself. By the grace of providence, destiny, this sinner has fallen in line of my sight, and today I shall vent my wrath that was endangered by the abduction of Sita. So he said he wants to release his anger to Ravana today. But first, when he looked at Ravana, even Rama himself, okay, said, what a brilliance. Something like even Hanuman in Sundarakanda have narrated. So, Ravana, before he left the city gate, Ravana instructed the leaders of the demons, ensure that the gates are well guarded and every house in the city in Lanka too well guarded. Seeing that myself and the foremost among our commanders have left the city, the enemy may seize it. Having said so, Ravana moved through the Vanara army. And seeing Ravana thus devastating the Vanara army, Sugriva rushed forward. Picking up a mountain top, Sugriva hurled at Ravana, who with his vista broke it to pieces. Ravana struck Sugriva with a terrible missile. Wounded severely by it, Sugriva fell down in agony. Sugriva was defeated for a while. Sugriva is not slain, but Sugriva was defeated here by Ravana. See, Sugriva's brother, Vali, easily defeated Ravana. Sugriva is also considered to be a great warrior, but Sugriva still not a match to Ravana. Okay, this is clearly described in Valmiki by Valmiki many times. Later on, you will find a scenario whereby when Kumbhakarna enters into the battlefield, he will catch Sugriva. He was about to take Sugriva to Lanka. Hanuman was restless at that time. Should I go and save Sugriva? If I go and save Sugriva, it will not be good for a leader, for a subordinate to go and help the leader at that particular moment of time. Sugriva is himself is a great warrior. And when Sugriva got his consciousness, he bit the ears of Kumbhakarna and then he managed to release himself. He went back to the Vanaras. That will be covered later part when we learn about Kumbhakarna, when Kumbhakarna enters into the battlefield. So here Sugriva fell down. Now, after Sugriva, Rama grabbed his own weapon, ready for direct confrontation with Ravana. But Lakshmana said to Ravana, let me go, Rama. I can look after him. But Rama cautioned Lakshmana, look for his weak points and remember your own weak points and guard them. This is something like a sword. Know the strength, know your weaknesses. Know the enemy's strength and also the enemy's weaknesses. In Chinese war literature, there is something called Sun Tzu Art of War. He says, no one, he who knows himself and the enemies is born to win in all battles. He who knows himself, not the enemy, have an even chance of winning. He who knows not himself and the enemy will perish in all battle. This is mentioned by Sun Tzu. Sun Tzu, there is something that is called art of war, also used in the field of strategy. But of course, something related to strategy, very detailed, very comprehensive. We can find many in Mahabharata. In so many things about strategy is mentioned in Mahabharata. So here, Rama is telling Lakshmana, look for his weak points. Remember your own weak points and guard them. Both with your weapon and with your vigilance. You must always be vigilant in the battlefield. But before he could reach Ravana, he noticed that Hanuman was engaging a combat with Ravana. Hanuman and Ravana is fighting. Hanuman said to Ravana, oh demon, you have secured immunity only from gods and demons. You are not immune from Vanaras and humans. Ravana hit Hanuman on his chest. Hanuman hit him back. And this made Ravana reel. Hanuman hit Ravana, and Ravana said to Hanuman, "Praiseworthy is your strength and skill, O Vanara." To which Hanuman replied, "Shame on my strength, in which you are still alive. You still live, O demon." And once again, Ravana clenched his fist and landed a terrible blow on Hanuman. And Hanuman was stunned for a while. In the meantime, Ravana turned to Nila, the commander-in-chief, the chief commander of the Vanara army. And Ravana directed his dreadful missiles at Nila. Actually, Ravana, if you read the chapter 59, when Ravana was fighting with Nila, the astra that was released by Ravana was Agni Astra. He released Agni Astra. So he told Nila, get away before I shoot you. Shot by Ravana, Nila fell down, but by the grace of his godfather, that is Agni, he did not die. Nila is a son of Agni, and Ravana used Agni Astra towards Nila. So the Agni Astra didn't have much effect towards Nila because Agni didn't want to kill his own son, so he did not die. That is what is mentioned in chapter 59 when you read through in the translation by Krishna Sharma. Okay, then abandoning Nila, Ravana then turned to Lakshmana, who shouted at him, "Why do you waste your strength on the Vanaras? Come and show me your valor." And Ravana replied in great anger, "Oh, gladly, O Lakshmana, I shall let you taste the fury of my fire." Lakshmana taunted Ravana, "Heroes do not brag, O king. You are the worst among sinners, are king only on boasting." Okay, Ravana replied by shooting 7 missiles. Lakshmana responded suitably. Whatever missile one used, the other neutralized it. Replied with more powerful missile. And Ravana took extremely deadful weapon belonged to Creator himself and struck Ravana. Okay, he uses Shakti weapon. Actually, Shakti weapon is also a weapon that was given to Karna by Indra. In Mahabharata, you will learn that Indra will come to Karna for arms. He will back Karna of his Kavasa Kundala, the Kavasa and Kundala, the amulet that he was born with. Because as long as Karna is with his Kavasa and Kundala, he will be difficult to be defeated. He will be like invisible, he cannot be defeated. But Karna decided to give it to Indra. Indra in turn gave Karna Shakti weapon, and he told Karna that you can only use it once. Okay, once you have used it, it will come back to me. Of course, we learn from Mahabharata, Karna kept the weapon for Arjuna. So till Karna used the weapon to kill Gadogacha, Krishna did not take Arjuna near Karna. You will see that in Mahabharata. So you will find that because of the pressure from Duryodhana and from all the Kauravas, that Gadogaja was creating a great havoc. So he requested Karna to kill Gadogaja. The only way is that he has to use a Shakti weapon and he killed Gadogaja with Shakti weapon. So here the Shakti weapon was used by Ravana towards Lakshmana. And it hit by the weapon, Lakshmana hit real. Regaining his consciousness, Lakshmana hit Ravana with 3 deadly missiles. These made Ravana swoon for a while. Discovering from that, Ravana hit Lakshmana with more deadly weapon. Okay, and stuck by it, Lakshmana fell down. Lakshmana was stunned. Lakshmana fell down, being hit by the weapon, released by Ravana. And then what did Ravana try to do? Ravana tried to carry Lakshmana away. But Lakshmana's body was very heavy that Ravana could not lift it. See, Ravana is a very powerful, he's very strong. He carried Kailash, but until Lord Shiva pressed it with his toe and he was crying. Then that's why he came to be known as Ravana. Ravana's name Dasanan is one of the name. Dashagriva, Dasanan. So he came to known as Ravana. He was crying when Lord Shiva pressed with his toe Kailash. He was able to live, but when Lord Shiva pressed, he unable to carry. He praised Lord Shiva. That's why Ravana is also known for his Veena. It's not mentioned in Valmiki Ramayana, but he's very good singer. He's Samagana. Okay, so here he cannot carry the body of Lakshmana. Lakshmana became very happy. Lakshmana is Adisesha. Lakshmana's body he can't carry. Hanuman challenged Ravana. Again, Hanuman hit Ravana so hard that Ravana vomited blood and lost consciousness for a while. So when Hanuman hit Ravana and Ravana lost his consciousness, Hanuman quickly lifted Lakshmana's body and carried it away. And what happened? When Hanuman carried Lakshmana, Lakshmana became light on the account of Hanuman's love for him. And Lakshmana contemplated upon the truth that he is part of the Lord himself, and this healed his wound and enabled him to regain his consciousness. So now we see Ravana came into the battlefield. So first Hanuman, he fought with Hanuman, then fought with Neela, fought with Lakshmana. Now Rama's turn. Rama came to fight with Ravana. Now the fight between Rama and Ravana, first round of the fight. Of course, they will fight again another round. After Indrajit has been slain, after Kumbhakarna being slain, Kumbhakarna will be slain by Rama, Indrajit will be slain by Lakshmana, then they will fight again. So Rama came to fight with the Ravana, and Hanuman prayed to Rama, I beg of you to be seated on my shoulders to fight the demon. And Rama consented to this. He said to Ravana, Son or demon, having offended me, you cannot find protection anywhere. Remember that single-handed I killed thousands of your warriors. When he regains consciousness, Lakshmana himself will kill you and your followers. Infuriated by these words, Ravana hit Hanuman with several flaming missiles. Hanuman did not mind that. His strength and enthusiasm grew. And Rama therefore aimed a missile at Ravana. Hit by it, Ravana, who could not be shaken even by Indra's thunderbolts, Indra's Vajrayuda, had no impact of Ravana, shook violently and dropped his weapon. With another weapon, Rama knocked down Ravana's crown. So, chapter 59, if you read, there is a description about the war that is taking place between Rama and Ravana here. And when Ravana was defeated, Rama has defeated Ravana in the first round. Of course, even in the second round, first round defeated, Ravana's crown was knocked down. Seeing Ravana in wretched condition, Rama gracefully said, you have shown great strength and skill, O Ravana. I can see that you are tired, wounded. Please go home, rest and recover. When you return to the battlefield, you will witness my strength and power. Crestfallen, Ravana entered Lanka. In Kamba Ramayana, very famous verse, which becomes very normal. Every time people say, go today and come back tomorrow. Rama said, today you go, come back tomorrow. Indru poi, nalai va. Indru means today. Go, poi, go, nalai va. Come back tomorrow to the battlefield. So crestfallen, Ravana entered Lanka. Ravana he has been defeated by Vali, has been defeated by Kartavirya Arjuna. Kartavirya Arjuna defeated Ravana, but the Kartavirya Arjuna was defeated by Parshurama. Parshurama killed Kartavirya Arjuna, but Parshurama was defeated by Rama. Of course, they did not fight like a combat. They didn't go for a battle, but was defeated by Rama. Vali was defeated by Rama. Vali was killed by Rama. So then the particular sloka I have taken out here. Okay, the sloka. Then Rama in battle said to the ruler of Rakshasas, who lost his blow with his crown being smashed, rendered powerless like a serpent that has lost its venom, and dull like the sun who has lost its brilliance with its rays dim. You have indeed accomplished a terrific feat in having many of my warriors killed. So I take it that you are quite exhausted, and I spare you from being sent to the throes of death. Go, O king of Rakshasas. I know you are exhausted by the fight. Go to Lanka, take rest, recover, then come back with chariot and bow. From your chariot you can witness, from you can witness my strength. Thus told, King Ravana hurried to Lanka. His pride and his high spirit flocked out of him. His broken bow, his horses, chariots slain, himself sore and oppressed by battering arrows. His crown got smashed. Of course, he will go back, and of course, they will have to wake up Kumbhakarna. Kumbhakarna will be sleeping. Of course, Kumbhakarna earlier he gave advice and everything, and then he went to sleep. Kumbhakarna, that will be covered in a 28th session. We're going to look at about Kumbhakarna. Again, I have shown this during the last session about Ravana. That Ravana receives several signals. Sometimes even for us, on certain things, whether we should do or not to do, we receive many signals from various sources. Various people will give us advice. Depends on us whether we want to heed the advice, whether we want to take the advice. So even here, if you look at Ravana at different levels, he have looked at advice. He received advice. He received advice from Maricha. Remember Maricha's advice? Remember the session that we looked at in Naranyakanda. Maricha will dissuade Ravana, discourage Ravana to go and take Sita. But Ravana will never listen. Jatayu will give advice. Ravana still will not listen. Even after Hanuman crossed the ocean, came to Lanka, giving the message of Rama to Ravana, still he never listened. He saw Lanka has been destroyed by Hanuman. Lanka has been burned by Hanuman. Many of the warriors were defeated by Hanuman. Hanuman single-handedly defeated many warriors and then burned the Lanka and went back to Rama. And still he never want to listen, never want to see the destruction that is going to come. That's why there is a saying that Vinashakale Vipareda Buddhi. Vinashakale means at the time of destruction, the intelligence will be lost, will be bewildered. Vinashakale Vipareda Buddhi. That's what happened to Ravana. All his tapasya, all his austerity, all the power that he gained in austerity over many, many years. He says he's thousands of years he did tapasya. All the energy, all the merits are slowly diminishing for Ravana. Then level 3, Rama built the bridge. Now before Rama built the bridge, okay, Vibhishana again and again he advised. I think 3 occasions he advised Vibhishana. One occasion was that he personally went to Ravana and advised. And then again he advised at the court of Ravana, and Ravana said, get out from here, and then Vibhishana had to go. Kumbhakarna himself had advised. Whatever you're asking me now, should have asked before you abducted Sita, Kumbhakarna. Then Sukha, Sarana, Sardula, all these spies that he sent, the messenger that he sent, all of them came back. Ministers, Rahastra also mentioned. Also from his maternal grandfather, actually Malyavan, his mother, Kaikisi. As I said to you, even his own wife, Mandragari, also advised him. Still, he doesn't want to listen. He never listened. People don't want to listen. And then first combat with Sugriva, and then now Rama have defeated him. Still, he's reluctant to give up Sita, to return Sita to Rama. Okay? Many signal. So I have also shown this the previous session. Ravana. Ravana is a great personality, but not a good personality, because he's being controlled by all this Kama, Krodha, okay, Moha, Lobha, okay, Mada, Matsarya. All these are controlled. Anybody who is being controlled by these, although how great he or she is, they are not good. This is a lesson that we can learn from Ramayana. One have to manage. One have to overcome all this. Okay, this hate represents all this, but his negative qualities controls him more. This is what we call the enemies, the 6 enemies. Kama, Krodha, Lobha, Moha, Mada, Matsarya. Matsarya is envy, enviness, envy, becoming envious. Mahabharata, we learn Duryodhana is always envious of Pandavas. Mada can be pride, ego can be ego, ahamkara, moha, delusion, lobha, greed, krodha, anger, always in anger, always angry. A lot of things that Buddha have taught about anger. If you are anger, it's like you are drinking a poison and you are expecting another person to die. When you are angry towards someone, Buddha have mentioned that it's something like you are drinking a poison and you are expecting the other person to die based on the poison that you have drank. That means the poison is going to destroy you. So that's also the conditions of Ravana. Even though he was a great personality, that's why Hanuman in Sundaraganda, when he looked at Ravana, he said, he is fit to be king of heaven. He is fit to take over Indra. But because of he doesn't have the goodness, like Rama was great and good. Ravana was great, but not good. Because he's been controlled. Controlled by what? By all those things. Every one of us might be controlled by any of this. Every one of us, okay, including me, might be controlled by any of this will be there. None of the people you can find are able to 100% overcome all the 6 here. These are actually the enemy. Enemy is not, when we learn from Mahabharata, when we learn from the Puranas, it mentions that enemy is not someone outside you, not somebody outside, but something that is inside you. Within us, there are enemies. These are the enemies. And we have to do something so that we subdue, we control. You conquer these 6, you can conquer the world. The Sikh Guru Nanak said, what is the statement, famous statement, Abjita, Jagat Jita, you conquer yourself. You conquer the whole world, Jagat. The whole world you can conquer, the whole universe you can conquer. That is the lesson that is given. But many of us, we don't want to see this. Just like Ravana. Ravana, just like an ostrich. This one we call, what we call this is a ostrich syndrome. In psychology or in management, if you are looking into managerial psychology, if you look into, this is called ostrich syndrome, or sometimes people call ostrich effect. The process where we describe behavior where we deny a problem exists or we ignore the problem. That is because of our nature, tamasic nature. We have to move from tamasic to rajasic to sattvic. Bhagavad Gita chapter 14 mentions about the 3 modes of nature. Rajas, the sattvic nature, rajasic nature, tamasic nature. Sometimes, like in the case of Ravana, he refused to face the reality or recognize the truth. That's what happened to him. And of course, when we say from a psychological standpoint, the ostrich effect or ostrich syndrome is a result of the conflict between our rational mind and the emotional mind. Every one of us have 2 minds. One is called the rational mind. The other one is an emotional mind. By right, we should follow our rational mind. Most of the time, we don't follow the rational mind. Instead of following our rational mind, we follow our emotional mind. Emotion controls us more. That's why one of the important things in emotional intelligence is that you must be able to see yourself from a bigger perspective, from a rational perspective and also the emotional perspective. So that's why very, very important. Haranyaka Upanishads, that's why your thought process is very important. You are what you think. You are your deep driving desire is. As your desire is your will, as your will is your deed, as your deed is your destiny. We become what we think. Even said by Buddha himself. And related to this, I'm sharing with you, you can find in some of the Upanishad, I'm taking from Katha Upanishad. In some original version of Ramayana, you also have this. Talking to the famous sloka from Katha Upanishad that says that Atmanam Radinam Viti, Sariram Radam Evatu, Buddhim to Saratam Viti. This is a very important sloka that describes that our body It's like a chariot. The body of ours is like a chariot, the chariot, Radam, like a chariot. And the horses, you see here, there are 5 horses. These 5 horses represents our 5 senses. Senses of seeing, senses of hearing, senses of touching, senses of smelling, senses of tasting, speech organ, all these here, sight, hearing, smell, taste, touch, brain, all these are our senses. Our mind is a driving instrument. Our mind, it says here, our mind is a driving instrument. This driving instrument is our mind, mana. This is a reins. The rein is our mind. The driving instrument is our mind. And then the driver is our intelligence, buddhi. Buddhi to sarathim viti. It says buddhim to sarathim viti. Buddhi is a sarathi. Sarathi means a charioteer. Buddhi is a charioteer. Body is a chariot. In the body of ours, our buddhi, that is the intellect, is a charioteer. The mind is a rein that is holding the horses. Horses are our senses. 5 senses means senses of hearing, senses of smelling, senses of tasting, touching, feeling, all the senses. So let's say if the intelligence are not used well and the mind is not managed, what will happen is that the horses is going to take you into different direction. You are not stable. Your senses is going to take you different direction. Because you're not able to manage your mind. Why you're not able to manage your mind? Because you're not able to use your intelligence effectively and efficiently. And you, the real self, the Atma, is a passenger in the chariot. That's why we say our body are 3 levels. We have the physical body, which consists of earth, water, fire, and ether. Then we have our mind. We have our intellect. We have our ego. Then we have the real self, which is covered by these 8 elements. So in the case of Ravana, case study of Ravana, we find that he is not able to. Why? Although he was great, why he was not good? Because he was not able to use his intelligence effectively to control his mind. His mind is taking him to different direction. Just like his Pushpaka Vimana can take him to different direction. Pushpaka Vimana is something that he got it from Kubera. He chased Kubera out of Lanka before he moved to Lanka. Kubera is his brother related to him. So that is the case. This is actually taken from Katha Upanishad, but it is also relevant in a case of analysis of Ravana here. That's why before anything happens, we need to anticipate any problem. Like Einstein says, a clever person solves a problem. A wise person will always try to avoid the problem. But in the case of Ravana, he was not able to avoid the problem. But he is adamant. He's not able to see, just like the ostrich syndrome. He closes his, something like he closes his eyes, he closes his head, he buries his head. He was not able to see the destruction, not only his destruction of the entire Rakshasas. The war between the Vanaras and the Rakshasas, lot of casualty on the Rakshasa side. Very few Rakshasas survived. Then of course we learn Vibhishana will become the next king after his defeat of Ravana. Okay, we have completed the 27th session of Srimad Valmiki Ramayana. So we have 5 more sessions to go. Okay, 5 more sessions until we will complete Rama Pattabhisheka on session 32. 5 more sessions we are going to cover. Next, we are going to cover Kumbhakarna. Kumbhakarna will enter into the battlefield. After Kumbhakarna has been slain, the next Indrajit will enter the battlefield. And after Indrajit has been slain, Ravana will enter the battlefield again. Ravana is going to enter into the battlefield. And after Ravana has been slain, all the ceremonies, everything, Sita, Agni Paricha will be narrated. For that, I'm going to give you further readings materials from various teachers in the past who have commented. Okay. And then after that, the last we're going to look at will be the Pattabhisheka. So just like any other session, this session is you have learned something and try to put it in practice. One of the things we learn at the last part of this session is that the the six enemies, Kama, Krodha, Lobha, Mada, Matsarya, all that. How do we overcome? How do we manage it? The chariot model from Katha Upanishad, how we can use our intelligence to manage our minds in order to control our senses so that it runs smoothly, it goes smoothly, so that it goes to the destination, right destination. Okay, now what I will do is that after this session, either later or even tomorrow, I will share with you character analysis of Ravana's character analysis. There was a question in the chat previous I have answered in a WhatsApp group about Vibhishana. People ask whether Vibhishana is a traitor or not. Depending on how you see, how you look at the Dharma. From I'm going to give more on that based on the character analysis of Vibhishana. There are two character analyses that I'm going to provide to you. After this session, I'm going to give it to you on Ravana. That will come close to 200 pages. People who are interested in Valmiki Ramayana or Ramayana to study about Ravana, analyzing the character, you can read. Then after that, when we go, after we have completed session 28, okay, after Kumbhakarna has been slain, I will give you the two characters, two of the Ravana's brothers. One is Kumbhakarna, the other one is Ravana. Also for you too, for your readings. Okay, from the readings, based on the character analysis that was done by Hari Krishnan, who wrote about it more than 20 years ago, you'll be able to get a better picture about the character of Ravana, Kumbhakarna, and Vibhishana. Okay, in Uttarakanda of Ramayana, it is mentioned all three of them it's Pasha together, but they requested for different good. Vibhishana requested that his mind should not deviate from the path of Dharma. Always he is a Dharmatma. Vibhishana is a Dharmatma. The term Dharmatma of Vibhishana is mentioned by Surpanaka himself to Ravana in Aranyakanda. Okay, only one she used to tell Rama. She told Rama only Vibhishana is someone who is totally different from the others. Okay, then we will come into that character analysis later on after session 28. After this session, I'm going to provide you with the character analysis of Ravana. So today we have completed only 9 chapters. Okay, so we move into next week. We're going to look into session 28, where we're going to look more into Kumbhakarna. Kumbhakarna will be entering into the battlefield, and there will be beautiful description about Dharma from Kumbhakarna's perspective. People who are familiar with Ramayana, there will be beautiful dialogue between Kumbhakarna and also Vibhishana. Both of them talking about Dharma. Kumbhakarna will say Dharma from his side, and Vibhishana will say Dharma from his side. The Dharma, this is something on a conflict of Dharma between the two individuals, two brothers. Okay, so we have completed session 27. Sri Rama, Rama Rameti, Rame Rame Mano Rame, Sahasranama Tatulyam, Ramanama Varaname. So we have completed session 27. If any of you have questions, you can post it in the chat. After a few sessions, 2 or 3 sessions, I will get it from Mr. Shiv Prakash and I will answer if there are questions that you would like to ask that you have posted here. All right. Thank you to everyone.